Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start with our identity prayer. I know that within myself there is that life which is perfect, complete, divine. It was never born and it cannot die, for it lives and is God. Within myself is the wholeness, peace, poise, and power of life. This life is health, it is abundance, it is love. There is one life, and it is the life of God, and this is my life now, and so it is. Yay! Good morning, good morning, good morning. What a fine group of people you are. Thank you. It's true. I always know how I'm doing by the way people around me are doing. So think about that next time you complain. I'm feeling really good because I consider myself more of a teacher than anything else. I know that I am an exceptional counselor, and my women's groups are legendary. And I know that I'm a really good inspirational teacher, speaker, but I really consider my core genius to be teaching. And I feel so solid inside of myself because I've gone back to the Science of Mind teaching style of my Science of Mind youth, the way that I learned Science of Mind. And those of you who've been around a long time know that we've bounced around in our classes. We started off where Barbara and John just made up whatever the heck they wanted to, and they taught it on Monday nights. And it was great. And then we affiliated with United Centers for Spiritual Living and still made up our own stuff until they started coming up with these rules that everybody had to take the same kind of classes. And so I said, okay, we'll do that. And we did that for 2 years. And I taught things like foundations and beyond limits and things like that, but it didn't feed the core of my need for Science of Mind. It was a lot of good stuff, but it was kind of spread out all over there, all over the place. And so then this fall, I said, I'm going to go back to teaching my textbook. I'm going to go back to what I know. I'm going to go back to standing in the truth that set me free and that I know I can use and believe in and teach. And so I started with the International Center's curriculum, which, God bless them, starts off with the textbook. And so here we are. We've done Science of Mind 101, Science of Mind 102, and now we're into Science of Mind 103, which was going to start last Monday. And then there was this ice issue. So, okay. And on Sundays, if you decide to come here and it's snowing and icing, that's fine, because you're welcome to stay until it warms up. But on Monday nights, if you come and it's not quite iced up yet, by the time you leave 2.5 hours later, it's going to be iced up. So I said, okay, and I sent everybody home, but I was ready for this class. And it had been a couple of weeks because we take that Christmas break. And so I was ready for this class. And the first part of my class, which is developing a healing consciousness, is all about the principles of successful living. So I want to talk about this because this is probably my favorite chapter in the revised Science of Mind textbook. My favorite chapter in the original Science of Mind textbook is Lesson 2, the introduction, the first paragraph of that introduction, which I'll just share with you because I have it on the top of my head. Mental science, or the science of mind and spirit, makes a tremendous claim when it states that it can free the individual from the bondage of sickness, poverty, and unhappiness, but it makes that claim without hesitation and without qualification. It has never backed down from that, and it never will. It makes a tremendous claim. It says, this science can free everybody from the bondage of sickness, poverty, and unhappiness, and it doesn't care what your circumstances are. It will not back down from that claim. Doesn't matter what family you were born into. It doesn't matter what kind of drama you had and how many issue tissues you need. It doesn't matter whether you're living here or you're living there, whether it's now or whether it's then. It just doesn't matter. There is something here that every man, woman, and child on the planet can use. And if you use it, you will be free of the bondage of sickness, poverty, and unhappiness. I mean, that pretty much covers the whole thing. And then we go into the revised textbook, which is kind of everything in the original textbook all thrown up, and it came down different. And they put it in different kind of chapters. And this one's called Principles of Successful Living. And the thing that I love about this is it brings up a much more subtle question than what my usual rah-rah talks are about. And that subtle question is, what is the difference between getting what you want and demonstrating by right of consciousness? Ooh, what the heck is she talking about? What is the difference between getting what you want, which, you know, I've told you that you can get whatever it is you want. All you have to do is become that which you choose to have prior to it showing up in your life. And as long as you're willing to do that, as long as you're willing to become that, to hold the mental equivalent for it, to set the law of attraction in motion, to have that inside of you, of course you will have it on the outside. And so sometimes people come here and that's all they hear is, Barbara said I can have whatever I want. Where is it? Well, you know, I've been here 3 times. And I kept those little cards. Well, one time I put it in the basket because I didn't want to give any money. So I kept those little affirmation cards. So where's all the stuff that I want? What is the difference between getting what you want and manifesting by right of consciousness? Now, you can get what you want. Remember when I've had you in class and I've had you do 1,000 affirmations a day, and those who couldn't count that high would go to Dick's Sporting Goods and get a clicker and just click. I know that I am wealthy now. I know that I'm wealthy now. I know that I'm wealthy now. I know that I'm wealthy now. I know. Oh my gosh, I found $10. Oh my gosh, the insurance company sent me a rebate. Oh my gosh, the IRS gave me money back. So of course we can get what we want, but there is something called demonstrating by right of consciousness that is a whole different level. It's not willing something to happen. It's not forcing it. It's not coercing it. It's all about how we see ourselves. It addresses that first primal question of who are we? And if we answer the question of who we are, we also have to ask the question of what is God? What is God? What the heck is going on in this universe? The sun comes up every day. What's that about? Could it possibly be that this is just an energetic accident and that we are all sitting here together pretending that something else is going on? I can't imagine living in such a limited belief system. There is something going on here, and we've all decided to show up on planet Earth in time and space in this moment together to take a peek out and say, hey, and let love lead the way. Yes, yes. So there is something going on, and do I think that I know exactly what it is? I would be a fool to tell you I did. Because whatever God is so much bigger than any word I can use, any idea I can use, that I've taken this infinite, absolute, self-existent cause and crammed it into a 3-letter word called God. It's ridiculous that we use words to talk about what we can't talk about with words. And yet that's all we got. I could just stand up here and look pretty. So what is God and who am I? Basic questions. I believe that there's something great inside of me. I've always believed there was greatness inside of me. And I bet that each one of us has some kind of an inkling that we were never meant for lives that held us down. We were never meant to struggle and suffer in this world, but that there is something inside of us, and we may not know what it is, and we may not have let it come out yet. We may maybe not seen it yet, but there's something inside of us. That's one reason I love the kids coming here so much. So we teach them that they're perfect, they're pure, they're powerful, and then you take them home and you have to deal with it. Well, let me give you a little tip. They say, I want a new bike. You say, maybe not now. Don't ever say you can't afford it, because of course you can afford it, but you don't have to buy them anything that they want. You say, maybe not now, and they say, well, in the kids club I learned that I can have anything that I want. Yes, and you can create it. You can create it. We have seen kids create things here that are amazing. So they're powerful spiritual beings, and we tell them that, and then you take them home and you keep telling them that. And if they want a new Wii or an iPad or whatever it is that's going around, let them manifest that. Can you imagine how your life would have been different if when you were a little child someone said, you can manifest that. You don't have to come begging me all the time for what you want. Create it. Build a vision board. Look at it. Affirm it. Know it. And then they grow up thinking that there's something inside of them that is more than their experiences and their circumstances. There's something inside of them that is more than what their teachers think of them or the grades that they get on their tests. That there's something great within them. And I think that each one of us has that. I know I do. I know that I have this idea that probably I've spent more time in my life pulling myself back than pushing myself out. Because sometimes I scare myself. I think that anybody who really has a spiritual revelation, it's not an oh boy, it's an oh. Oh, I think that is one of the words I can say on TV. No. Oh, good. George Carlin's in the room. So here we have this experience of our power. We have this experience that says, who I am is more than my experiences. I am more than my body. I'm more than my emotions. I'm more than my thoughts. I am more than my experiences in my life. There is something in me. And when we move into that place where we open up to that God being that we are, we change the way we manifest. It's not just about changing the biopsy, although if you've got a biopsy that needs changing, we can do that. But it's about opening up to the health and wholeness, the perfection and the clarity of God moving through me, in me, as me, is me. And that's a whole different world. That's why sometimes when people say, well, treat for me that this happens so that this happens, so that this happens, so that this happens. And I go, well, wait a minute. What's it going to be like when the last thing happens? Oh, well, I'm going to be feeling really clear about who I am. Well, let's just know your clarity. And then knowing your clarity, maybe it'll start off like you thought it would, but maybe it'll go in a whole different direction. Maybe your life will completely change as you stand clear in who you are. This science of mind, this teaching, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not about just slightly changing your thought and creating something different. Anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. You take a group of kid basketball players and you say, just start thinking that you're going to win. And all of a sudden they do way better. Anybody can do that. This is about changing the way you see yourself by opening up to this different idea that there is something great within you. And if this circumstance, if this door has shut in your face, it's only because there's a greater good revealing itself. And to be able to stand there clearly in the midst of what other people would say, this is terrible, oh my gosh, you lost your relationship, you lost your job, you lost your car, you lost your money. It's like a country western song. Where other people would say, oh, isn't it terrible? And you go, no, something wonderful is about to happen. This is demonstrating by right of consciousness that I have this within me, so of course it's going to come into my life. I don't have to make it come in. I don't have to force it. I don't have to keep telling myself 100 times a day, 1,000 times a day that this is so to try to convince myself. This is that I have moved into a whole different reality that says God is all that there is. I know that it is what I am, and I know that it is in every person and every experience around me. It is the only thing that can be. Otherwise, we are just sparks in a cosmic blink and gone before you know it. And I've had too many past life experiences to know that. I've had too many things that tell me that we are never born and cannot die because we live and are God. And so what I want to look at is these principles of successful living. How do we do that? And the first thing to do is to ask ourselves, as we are reevaluating how we see ourselves, do we really deserve to have a successful life? Do we have any of those old ideas going on in the back of our head that say, oh, well, that's just selfish. You know, you don't need a new car. You can have a used car. You know, as soon as they leave the lot, you've lost all of the value of it anyway. So you might as well not waste what little money you have and go out and get a new car. You don't deserve that. Who do you think you are? Do we have any of those thoughts going around in the back of our head that say, oh, well, I'm just gonna create enough to get by? I tell you, I am really done with getting by. We have had 3 years of getting by. I'm done with getting by. Do you know that there is lots of money? Yes. There's lots of money. There's lots of money. And a lot of it is mine. I encourage you to jump on the bandwagon. Because just getting by is a self-worth issue. Just getting by is a self-worth issue. There's more than enough. There's enough for everybody to prosper and prosper abundantly as we move into this new idea that says, I demonstrate by right of consciousness. Only good comes to me, and if it's come to me, it's good. And if something has gone away, I didn't need it. That which is mine cannot be taken from me, and that which is not mine, I cannot keep. As I know who I am, my life unfolds in ease and grace. I am God in form. I am Barbara Waterhouse. Of course I deserve it. I deserve everything I can imagine and more. What about this idea of big and little? Well, I can have that because it's little. It's just a little thing. It's just a little thing. But oh no, this is big. This is some big stuff. What's going on? Big stuff is going on in my life. Oh, and, you know, I got to get 4 or 5 practitioners because I don't know that just one of them can handle it. Big stuff. Don't we do that? This is the honest time. Emerson said, there's nothing great or small to the soul that maketh all. That ability to judge something as harder or easier, bigger or smaller is all inside of us. You know, there's somebody else in the world that would look at our stuff and go, oh, that's nothing. That's nothing. It's like crying over spilled milk. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter. That's nothing to who we are, to the being of light that we are. And what about this idea that we can win and someone else has to lose? It goes back to, you know, we're such a unique group of people. We do so want to be holy. We want to be holy, and so when we're going for something, sometimes we get this crazy idea that says, if we get that, somebody else missed out. If we get that closing, if we get that contract, if we get that deal, if we get that last thing on the shelf, then somebody else in the universe is going to miss out. What a limited way to live, as if there's only one. As if there's only one that we all have to fight for. As if there's only a limited amount. And if I take what I want, somebody else doesn't get theirs. No, 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 no. I get what is mine, and they get what is theirs. And who knows, maybe in their universe, they're standing at that same place going, well, if I get that contract, if I get that job, if I get that deal, if I get that last thing on the shelf, then this person talking to me won't get what they want. No, no, we all get what we all get what is ours. There is no limitation. If you have any sense that somebody else has to lose for you to win, you're dealing in a limited universe. You're dealing with a limited belief system, a limited paradigm. Here we are, these incredibly powerful beings of light and love, commanding the forces of creation itself to manifest our individual realities. Nobody can take that from us, and even though we are that powerful, we cannot take that from anyone else. We cannot take from them what is theirs. Now we can bypass what is ours. My sentiments exactly. How many times have we gotten ourselves clear, opened up, forgiven, loved ourselves, been clear, only to have something start to manifest and somehow we pull away. And we let it go. But keep in mind that if we have ever created it, we can create it again. And an even greater reality is, even if we have never created it, we can create it. So anything that we've ever had, that's easy, just recreate it. And anything that you've never had, that's easy, just create it. But you create it from the idea of who you are. That you are God in form as you, and that everything in your life is a perfect divine reflection of that divinity that you are. And so, of course, there's more than enough. Check yourself out. See if there's any story that you're telling yourself, because sometimes it's like we come to the center and people are watching what they say and watching what they think and opening their hearts, and they're feeling very on top of it all, and then they go out into the world and say things like, yeah, but this is the real world. This is what's really going on out there. And I would submit that there is no real world that you don't carry with you. That the only world you will ever find is the one that you brought. Then you stick it in front of yourself and walk into it and act all surprised. You did that. What this teaching calls from us is for us to transcend the old way of being. It says, yes, you can manifest money. I can teach you how to pull money right out of thin air. Yes, we can change a diagnosis. Yes, you can manifest a house. Yes, you can do whatever you want. But what I want you to do is I want you to change who you are. I want you to change who you think you are. I want you to change how you experience yourself in this life. I want you to step it up a little bit. I want you to open up to the incredible love and the light and the support and the power that is inside of you. And when you open up to that, it causes you to let go of all those other stories. Then the stories don't matter. Everything that ever happened got you where you were today. What you do with that is totally up to you. I encourage you to do something with it. You paid for it already. Gosh, you went through childhood and adolescence and how many marriages? Holy smokes. You paid for it. You might as well use it. You might as well use it to realize that nobody knows who you are but you. And no matter what you think you know, you always know more. That there is that within you that is greater than anything you ever thought possible. And so we move into these ideas of who am I? What is God? That I want to change. I want to change how I manifest. I want to do it by an energetic knowingness instead of a micromanagement of the circumstances in my life. I want to be so clear about who I am that everything just falls into place around me. And the way that that happens is that there is this spiritual law that is set in motion. And it comes with all kinds of labels, and frankly, who knows how it works? All I know is that it works. We've got the law of attraction, was very popular a few years ago. There's a whole chapter in this textbook on the law of attraction. We've got the law of correspondence. We've got the law of reflection. We've got the law of cause and effects. We've got the law of mental equivalence, all trying to describe this thing that happens. That when we think into something, our thought goes somewhere and it does something. And it sets something incredibly powerful in motion. We command the creative power of the entire universe with our thoughts, with our consciousness, which is actually bigger than our thoughts. Our consciousness, demonstrating by right of consciousness, is all the thoughts that we think. all of the beliefs that we hold, conscious, subconscious. It's what we really expect to happen. And so here we are impressing upon mind, and the only thing that that mind can do, that law can do, is manifest into form. I love that quantum physics is catching up. They say that there's a unified field. We say there's one mind. They say that in order for that field to exist, it must exist in its totality at every point simultaneously. We say God is all that there is, and all that God is manifests in me now, and it manifests in you now, and it manifests in everyone now. And when is now but eternal, always has been, always will be. Quantum physics says that everything that could possibly happen, that could possibly exist, exists already in potential. They call it wave packets. Figure it's like a little folded up piece of notebook paper. You know when you do that to hold something? And there are these little wave packets, and they're just waiting for someone to notice them. And that when someone notices those wave packets of possibility, they collapse into form. We say that everything that could possibly be exists in potential. And that as we embrace it, as we open up to that potential, it manifests in form as our lives. So how do we live a successful life? I tell you, there are some people who just give up too early. They just give up too early. If there was one thing I could say to people who come to this center for the first time, is don't give up so quick. Well, you gave me an affirmation. I got it on my little card when I came in. And so now I bought my lottery ticket, and I want my money now. Now, we do have a lottery winner in our room. Demonstrate by right of consciousness. The woman had already printed out the ticket when he walked in and said, "This is yours." And he took it home, and it was the winning number. There's a difference. And so if we are looking to have something happen, we have to look inside of ourselves and say, well, my goodness, why is it like this to begin with? What's going on inside of me and my consciousness that I'm still believing that I don't deserve it? I'm still believing that God isn't all that there is. I'm still believing that I'm not this incredibly powerful, creative, spiritual being alive and well on planet Earth. What's going on in my consciousness that I would create that to begin with? And we look at that and we cast it aside. I'm Barbara Waterhouse. I am God in form. Say that about your name. I am God in form. Nothing's got nothing over me. Nothing's got nothing over me. And as we move back into that idea that says, I am all powerful. I am all that is. We set that law in motion. Don't give up. One of my favorite quotes from Ernest is, to desert the truth in your hour of need is to prove that you don't understand the truth. To desert the truth in your hour of need is to just prove that you don't understand the truth. When things are going awry, they weren't yours. Step away from the problem. Move on. Go find what is yours. Don't hold on to the fact that you used to have this or you used to do that. And then stay clear about who you are. You are God in form. Nothing's got nothing on you because you're all that there is. You're so much bigger than anything. And when you do that, when you don't give up, when you don't let those hours of need, I mean, sometimes people have their watch set. Oh, it's another hour of need. Oh my goodness, I have another hour of need. I think I'll desert the truth now. Don't do that. Stand clear about who you are. Establish a greater energy called consciousness than this moment's thought. Establish that inside of you of who you are and what life is about. And when you do that, your life will get better and better and better. Let us not be so attached to the manifestations that we have at this moment. They are only a statement of yesterday. Right? be more attached to what we're putting out that will show up in form in its perfect and right way tomorrow. Not that we're living in the future, but we're just not hooked to what is. They say we're crazy because we look at what is and we say you're not real. That money in my bank account, I know that that's not all that there is. This experience in my body, I know that my body is more than that. This relationship that I've got so much more love going out and coming back to me than any one person can hold. They call us crazy because we look at things and say, this isn't real. The only thing that's real is God. And God showed up as me. And that's who I am. I'm Barbara Waterhouse. I am God in form. And so it is. Yeah.